is up, everyone? The one thing I got to say is statement made. The Baltimore Ravens put on a statement on Sunday Night Football in front of all of America. 35-10 win over the juggernaut Buffalo Bills. I don't know where this juggernaut team was that I heard about all week. This team that was going to steamroll the Ravens. This team that was led by Josh Allen, who is head and shoulders above the greatest player we've ever seen. I heard a lot all week about how good the damn Bills are. And then I watched a lot of Bills try to chase down Derrick Henry as his ass trotted into the end zone. I'm telling you, I'm going to wait a little bit for Kevin to hop on, but this team, you want to talk about a win that just, man, this was needed. Man, not only was it that they beat the Buffalo Bills, it was they beat them in every aspect of the game. They were bigger. They were stronger. They were more physical. They were faster. In every aspect of the game, the Baltimore Ravens completely dominated the Buffalo Bills. We'll get into specifics in a few minutes, but Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, it feels like they're finally figuring out how to use both of them together, and it might be over for the NFL. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry figuring out, Todd Monken understanding, using the play action. We're using play action, and it's kicking teams' ass. Hand the ball to Derrick. Hand the ball to Derrick. Fake hand the ball to Derrick. Someone's wide open. Time and time again, and it worked like a damn charm. I would not be upset if the Ravens used play action on like 80% of their throws. The Ravens went out there tonight and put on an absolute belt-to-ass whooping. Belt-to-ass whooping. I mean, everyone's going to sit here and talk about Derrick Henry, the star of the game. Lamar Jackson, star of the game. The stars, the offense. Everyone's going to talk about the 35 points. I'm going to start by talking about the defense, only allowing 10 points, and the entire game felt like they just had the Bills' number. It was only about one drive that it felt like the Bills finally got the momentum back in the second half. Felt like they were starting to get it, but every single time the Ravens needed a big play defensively, someone to step up in the moment. Kyle Van Noy stepped up. My goodness, Kyle Van Noy was born to be a Baltimore Raven. Every time, like, he is legitimately, I want to compare him, obviously, not in the age aspect, because for the Orioles, he's more of the young guy, up-and-coming guy, and he's a veteran. Obviously, Van Noy's a veteran. But Kyle Van Noy gives me like those Jordan Westberg. All he does is produce. It doesn't matter what you ask him to do, drop into coverage, rush the passer. Kyle Van Noy goes out there and just gets the job done. Knock the ball down at the line, he'll do it. Go sack the quarterback, he'll do it. Make a play in the backfield on the running back, he'll do it. Cover a guy in the secondary, he'll do it. Kyle Van Noy stepped up every single time he was needed today. We got the strip sack. He got the third down sack. Then another guy, Odafe Owe. We talk about Ravens on their, that final year, the contract year Owe, contract year pass rusher. Odafe Owe is finally finishing sacks. His whole career, it was he could get to the quarterback. It was whether or not he was bringing them down. It feels like that motor has hit a new level. His moves are more precise. They're more calculated. They're more fine-tuned. He's just beating guys. And then now when he's getting to the quarterback, he's bringing him down. So Odafe Owe, another guy. Travis Jones. What we talk about that play Kyle Van Noy the strip sack, which we'll get into the whole point that the Bills had all the momentum in the world and then decided to run a trick play and just throw it all out. That was stupid in and of itself, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Kyle Van Noy obviously gets the strip sack, but Travis Jones laid a monster hit on Josh Allen. Travis Jones is quickly becoming one of my favorite guys on this defense because he just eats up double teams. He pressures up the middle every single time he's on the field. He gets pressure up the middle to get in the quarterback's face. This team is starting. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton had a hell of a day. Marlon Humphrey, besides the 15-yard unnecessary roughness, that was a weird when he just hit Kincaid in the face. That was obviously didn't like that. Didn't like that. Let's not do that in close games. But besides that, Marlon Humphrey had a hell of a game. Nate Wiggins dropped a few picks, but overall had a pretty damn good game. Brandon Stevens is really the only one on the defense that I felt like, I want to say he had a tough game, but even then it was Josh Allen and Keon Coleman hooking up on some pretty picture-perfect passes down the field. I mean, it was placed perfectly. So I'm not going to totally beat up Stevens for that. I mean, if it's put in the perfect spot and the guy catches it, it happens. I mean, he was playing tight defense. So not going to get on Stevens too much. Ardarius Washington is making some more plays. I just felt like this whole team. Eddie Jackson felt like I saw Eddie Jackson a lot tonight. Felt like I saw Eddie Jackson flying around a lot tonight, just all around from the defense. If you walk in there and let's look at the team stats, the Buffalo Bills only had 236 total yards. You know, this was the big, bad juggernaut Buffalo Bills. This team was supposed to come in, drop 500 yards and 40 points on the Ravens. All week I heard about how the Buffalo Bills were going to come in here and whoop ass, how Josh Allen's on his MVP tour. I mean, what? Josh Allen's final – what was the final box score for Josh Allen? Josh Allen was 16 for 19 for 180 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and the strip sack. He also ran the ball 5 times for 21 yards. Yeah, Rod. Zach Orr had like it started to feel a lot more like Mike McDonald last year, where the Ravens are getting back to that pre-snap confusion where it seems like Orr it's got 8 guys up at the line. It's who's coming, who's not. We saw the first Kyle Van Noy sack was actually because of that, because they loaded up the entire line, had like 8 guys across. Bills think that they have to all go left. It's coming from the left. It comes from the right. The Ravens get that pressure. They get the sack. So that was the defense. Yeah, you have to give Zach Orr credit. People gave him a lot of shit after having a tough first game against the defending champs, Kansas City Chiefs. But this defense is playing out of their mind. Mike saying, where's your concern level? Roquan. Roquan hasn't looked like himself. I completely agree. Roquan hasn't looked like it, but today it felt like he looked more like Roquan than he had before. So it's still early in the season. But for the most part, I'm going to chalk up Roquan. If it continues to be like this, I'm going to be more concerned. But even though he hasn't been playing the best ball, he's looked clunky at times. He's looked slow in coverage. Today, it felt like it was one of those better games where Spirit Bomb, I was just about to say that. Roquan, even the plays he was in, he was delivering some big hits. So, yeah, I'm not concerned with Roquan. Obviously, you'd like to see him make some more big plays, but overall, it's just Roquan's going to be Roquan. Yeah, I completely agree. It's still early, and he's displaying leadership. He's still the leader of that defense. I know Kyle Hamilton has kind of been a vocal leader at times as well, but just for overall, it's Roquan Smith is the leader of that defense, without a doubt. Let's move over to the offense. And if we're going to talk about the offense before we get into the star, Matt, you took the words out of my mouth before we get to the star. You got to talk about the understudy. We've been talking about the Great Gatsby understudy with Colton Cowser all week. How about this understudy? Justice Hill has been the perfect back to spell Derrick Henry. Justice Hill on the day, 4 carries for 18 yards. But how about this? Justice Hill was the leading receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, 6 receptions, 78 yards, and the 19-yard touchdown. We take into account his ability to run the ball. He's got great burst. I love how they're using him, especially in the draw game right now. Justice Hill's killing in the draw game and the screen game. Justice Hill's been incredible. Then also you have to take into account, remember, against the Chiefs, he was asked to go one-on-one somehow with Chris Jones, and he held his own. Justice Hill got extended a few weeks ago, and he earned every damn penny of that extension, and he proved it today. Justice Hill, unsung hero. Seeing someone else saying unsung hero was Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar with that big third down catch was one of his only he had 2 receptions. The one was for 12 yards. The other was a screen pass that got -2. But Nelson Aguilar, massive 12-yard third down catch conversion, keep the chains moving. And that's kind of what you've wanted to see from a guy like Nelson Aguilar, who sits as your number 3 receiver. We saw it time and time again last year, and it's why they brought back Nelson Aguilar, because even though early in his career he struggled with walks, with drops, the talent was there, but it was last year he really kind of took over as one of those security blanket type players for Lamar Jackson. When Lamar's scrambling, when Lamar needs a big catch, when Lamar needs a big conversion, it seems like more often than not he's looking towards Nelson Aguilar. So Nelson Aguilar, for so many reasons, has been this underrated player. And Rodney couldn't have said it better myself. Nothing bigger than the catch he didn't make, negating it. I'm not even going to call it a possible pick. That was as right to the safety as possible. Nelson Aguilar almost caught it, throws the hand up, gets up there. And this guy, I mean, he's just been as consistent as possible. We saw last week versus the Cowboys, the big play. Nelson Aguilar, and Mackey saying Keaton Mitchell is still in the chamber. Yeah, when they get him back, this run game, there's no reason the Ravens shouldn't dominate on the ground every single game. Every single game. Now, we talked about Justice Hill. We just talked about Keaton Mitchell's obviously going to come back. But let's talk about the start of the game. I don't know what we did to deserve this. I don't know what good karma we had. But getting to watch Derrick Henry tote the rock for your football team is a spiritual experience that I wish that every football fan should be able to experience. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the same backfield is borderline unstoppable. The more that they get the chemistry, the more they build off this. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 199 yards, 1 touchdown. Then add on to it 3 receptions for 10 yards and a touchdown. Let's go one further. Let's take it back the past 2 weeks. Past 2 games. Derrick Henry, 49 carries for 350 yards. That is 7.41 yards per carry. 7.5 yards per carry. 7.5. Then add on to that, Add on to that 4 receptions, 33 yards, and 4 total touchdowns. Past 2 games, by the way. That's 388 yards in the past 2 games and 4 touchdowns. And I'm saying, Matt, couldn't agree more. We talked all offseason about how good Derrick Henry was going to look in the uniform. How good all black uni Derrick Henry. You know, we not even Ravens fans. The Bleacher Reports, all of them were posting about how peak football aura was going to be Derrick Henry wearing the all blacks. How about you start with a bang? First time touching the ball, first play from scrimmage for the boys. 87 yards to the house, untouched. We're going to talk about Derrick Henry. The line blocking, stellar. All night, too, not just the first play. The offensive line, shout out them. Give them their flowers because they went out there and dominated as well. Derrick Henry, if this offensive line can continue to move guys, if they can continue to keep building, because Falele had a good game. Rosengarten had a good game. Linderbaum, solid. Obviously, Stanley solid. Voorhees will get back. If they can continue to just build in the trenches, and then you have Derrick Henry running behind them, you have Justice Hill spelling them, and oh, by the way, if the most electrifying player to ever touch a football field and Lamar Jackson making the whole thing work, this team, if they put it together, you got the big playability from Zayn Bateman on the outside. You have Mark Andrews, who we'll get to in a little bit. Obviously, another tough night for him. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely as tight ends. This team is starting to put it together offensively, and it is a scary sight for the rest of the league. It is going to be a very scary sight the more this team puts it together. So it's going to just be simply about getting better each week. And, it's what each team says. It's what everybody says. You just got to get better each week. But that's the fact with this offensive line. It's an extremely inexperienced offensive line. Extremely inexperienced. They haven't played together at all. Voorhees making his first starts in the NFL. Falele making his first starts at guard in the NFL. Rosengarten is a rookie. This offensive line just slowly each game has to put it together. Put just slightly better games together, just stacking games on top of games. If they're able to do this with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson running their magic in the backfield, it's going to be very hard to stop the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be very hard to stop the Baltimore Ravens. So, in the comments, let's talk about this. 1 and 10. 1 through 10. 10 being you feel ecstatic. This is a Super Bowl caliber team. 1 being the season's over. This team sucks. Sitting at 2 and 2. What are your thoughts, or what is your outlook on the Baltimore Ravens? Where is your confidence meter? I'm going to put them at a 9. You lose to the Kansas City Chiefs by a toenail. You then have a brutal, gut-punching, gut-wrenching loss to the Raiders that you should have had. Then you come out, you have a dominant first half against the Cowboys. You learn from that. So you had the lead, you blow it and lost. Then last week, they had the big lead. They blew it, but won. This week, they get the big lead for a minute. For a minute, it was getting iffy. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't start getting the back of the head thoughts of, oh, is this going to happen? I thought it was about to go down. It was not looking good for a second. The Bills had all the momentum, driving on their side of the field. And then the strip sack by Kyle Van Noy completely changed that game. That and the missed field goal. Those two things just completely changed it. So the Ravens, I think, go out there. I'm going to put it at a 9. I think they're continuing to just improve. I think we're just still scratching the surface of what this offense can be. You're seeing, I mean, the defense is the defense. You can question Zach Orr, obviously being a first-year coordinator. You're going to give him a little bit of leeway. But he's put together some damn good game plans, especially this week. We'll see what he puts together for Burrow, but you have to be feeling good. You knew the defense was probably going to continue to be a driving force for this team. You hoped. But this offense, we saw it the first drive of the year. They went down the field using Lamar and Derrick Henry, and everyone was like, okay, this is how they should do it every game. And they got a little away from it. They lost the Kansas City game. You then blow the game against the Raiders. But they've seemingly found their stride offensively recently. And I love the play action. That's what I've been saying for weeks since day one, was this team needs to be living and dying by play action. The entire universe, all 11 defenders are going to be crashing to that line the second you even give the option of handing the ball to Derrick Henry. The second you even give the play fake going to Derrick Henry, the entire defense is crashing towards the line. That's how we saw so many open receivers tonight. Because the linebackers have to come up and respect that. Because if you don't respect the play action, if you don't respect the run from Derrick Henry, he's going to run through you. And hell, even if you do respect the run for Derrick Henry, he's going to run through you. Yeah, Steve, it does. Play action keeps defenses honest. They can't all come running up against the line each play, because you have to respect that Lamar could pull it and run. He could pull it and pass. Or Derrick Henry gets the ball and you're screwed that way. I mean, this is why you went out and got Derrick Henry. So many people we talk about in the NFL that the Ravens, in so many ways, when the rest of the NFL zigs, they zag. The rest of the NFL is going pass heavy. We want to go air it out. And the Ravens said, no, we're going to continue to run the ball. We're going to go get Derrick Henry. We're going to put Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the backfield. We're going to run the option. We're going to run play action. We're going to get the tight ends involved. We're going to get the receivers involved in the screen games. And you're going to have to find a way to stop it. And so far, that's what we've seen. We've seen just each week this team has gotten better. So, real fast, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. This is Kevin and Zach Reacts. We go live after every single Orioles and Ravens game. So, little announcement, though. So, we are sticking strictly to Ravens tonight. Only talking about the Ravens. I'll probably go for another 10-ish minutes. Only talking about the Ravens tonight. And then tomorrow probably around 9 o'clock-ish. I'm not sure. I'll get an exact timeout. Me and Kevin are going to go live to talk about the entire Orioles season. We're reacting to game one, all 162 games. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Probably talk about our MVPs, our most improved players, stuff like that. And then we're also going to be giving a future look into the Kansas City game or series, into the Kansas City series. So, yes, and spicy ramen rent is due, and 9 p.m. 9 p.m. tomorrow-ish. Might be a little later. But, yes, spicy ramen. Kevin will be eating the spicy ramen. We're up to the second level. So, I see everyone's in for the spicy ramen. So, Kevin, when Kevin gets on tomorrow, he's just simply going to, we're going to make him eat the spicy ramen. He owes that. So this is a little bit back to the Ravens. This team is, This this team is getting better. Like, that's what the biggest thing. You wanna see improvement each week, and you have from the Ravens. Like I said, that first week you lose by a toenail against the defending champs in Kansas City. All right, cool. Thanks. That sucked. Week 2, you blew a lead to the Raiders. Lose the game at home. Gut punch. Humbling. Makes you look in the mirror and go, who the hell are we as a team? They go out there and absolutely hang one on Dallas in the first half. You almost blow it, and another gut punching performance in the second half, but you hang on. Then you come out here on national television. Everyone's talking about the 3-0 Buffalo Bills. Everyone's talking about the 3-0 Buffalo Bills. The Ravens, I'm telling you this right now, the Bills can go bully the Jaguars. The Bills can go out physical the Dolphins. You don't walk in to M&T Bank Stadium. You don't walk into Baltimore and out physical the Ravens. The Bills walked into M&T Bank Stadium today and got a bona fide ass whooping. Out physical on every single level. Mentally defeated. You saw it by the second quarter. Guys trying to tackle Derrick Henry, shoulder pads down, heads hanging. This team can demoralize you. That's what this team needs to understand. When this team gets a lead and they're just running Derrick Henry down your throat and there's nothing you can do about it, it completely destroys the team. Did you see the Buffalo Bills sideline in that third quarter, in that fourth quarter? Just stunned blank stares. Just blank stares into the abyss of what the hell is going on. How do we stop this? And every time the Ravens tried to shoot themselves in the foot, whether it be penalties, whether it be holdings, false starts, no matter how many times they tried to shoot themselves in the foot, it felt like they always ended up getting the first. Yeah, it just, that's what it is. Samuel saying Zach Green's from the chat via Aberdeen. Oh, I love your energy. Appreciate it. Cracks me up. Yes, this was a statement game, but it's only one game. I couldn't agree more. Keep doing what you do. Appreciate you, Samuel. It is one game. And I think that's why it's important to look in. I like what Kyle Hamilton said. If you didn't see Kyle Hamilton's comments after the game, they asked him about it. Said, what does a win like this mean for the Baltimore Ravens? He said, it was a good win, but we didn't win the Super Bowl. Didn't win a Super Bowl tonight. So at the end of the day, it was a good win. That's it. That's the mindset this team is in. What do I think is going to happen in Cincy? Molly, that is a great question. Always appreciate your support. So, what do I think is going to happen in Cincinnati? Well, the one thing that the Ravens cannot allow to have happen is allow for Joe Burrow to get going. The Bengals might be having a bad year, but Joe Burrow is not. Bengals defense might be having an atrocious year. Some pass catchers have dropped some open touchdowns, but Joe Burrow is having a good year. So the biggest thing that the Ravens have to do is, one, they have to run the damn rock. There's no reason the Ravens shouldn't run for 300 yards. They dropped 260 tonight on the Bills. It should be the exact same against the Bengals. I would not, this is one of those games. I don't care what Lamar Jackson's stats look like. I'm tired of just MVPs, regular season stats. Just win games. Hand the ball to Derrick Henry a gazillion times on Sunday. But I'd also be lying if I said this one, like the Bengals are 1-3. I don't care. I am viewing this as the Bengals of last year, as the Bengals of the year before. Like this is a game to go get a step above in the division race. I truly believe the Bengals are going to be there at the end. The Bengals, I don't see missing the playoffs. They're too talented. I understand the defense isn't great, but this is not a team that they can overlook. This is still Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins in them. They've got playmakers. So this is not a game that This is not a game that the Ravens can just assume, oh, it's the 1-3 Bengals. This should be a win. You got it. It's not easy to win in Cincinnati. Ravens coming off a big win like this. How do you respond? Do you let it go to your head? Do you get to the point where you're, I don't want to say content, but how do you respond? Do you keep getting better? We saw Lamar Jackson and them last week after the Cowboys game say that they hate how they got conservative. They just want to stomp on your throat. They want to put the pedal to the metal. We saw more of that tonight. We saw much, much more of that tonight from the Baltimore Ravens. Even though it was still runs, even though it was still short passes, they didn't take the foot off the pedal. They didn't just run the ball down the middle. They were still mixing it up. They were sending motions. They were making the defense get out of position, and then they were beating them. I'm going to agree with this, Steve. Cincy is a must-win in my – now, obviously not in the fact of, like season's over, but you're feeling a whole lot better beating Cincinnati, and you're coming out of this gauntlet stretch 3-2 rather than 2-3. You're feeling a whole lot better. So, yeah, I think that this is a massive game in Cincinnati, even though the Bengals are 1-3. Think about it. If you lose this game, you and the Bengals are both sitting at 2-3. If you win this game, you're sitting at 3-2 and the Bengals are 1-4. So this really is just one of those games where coming up, it's a massive game for the division as well. Like if you lose this game, it is wide open. You got to find a way to put this. You got to put this Bengals team to 1-4, or I'm telling you, they're going to stick around. Speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, speaking of sticking around, Kevin Oestreicher sticking around to talk a little bit more Ravens after Locked On Ravens. Kevin, how we doing?
Man, I am warped to the bone, but it's worth it when the Ravens win games the way that they did tonight. I'll tell you that. Can't really ask for much more. And I talked about it on Locked On Ravens. It's like, yeah, we're just so back. We're so back.
How do you stop when Derrick Henry's doing this and Lamar Jackson's playing like Lamar Jackson? How do you stop this team? How do you stop this offense?
It's almost impossible. I mean, we've been saying it, right? Like, if you establish the ground game like you did with Derrick Henry and you have the threat of Lamar, it's just like you got to pick your poison. And it's almost impossible because when you get scared of Derrick Henry doing what he did, well, all of a sudden that opens up the play action game. That opens up other rushing lanes for Lamar. And you can't – you cannot physically put all the manpower needed in all three phases if you're a defense. And if you choose wrong, you're done.
Yeah. They just cook you. We saw it twice today. Like Lamar Jackson, the entire defense goes with Derrick Henry because they're like, oh, they're just handing it to Derrick again. Lamar pulls it, easy, 10-yard touchdown? Just a quick and easy. I mean, the defense, there's so much that you have to worry about right now. And I love that they're finally incorporating more and more of the play action. It just feels like this team offensively, I was talking about before you got on, it just feels like each week they're getting better and better. They're figuring out how to use these two more and more because we talked about it. We saw that first game. Derrick Henry, 13 carries after having 5 on the first drive, and it was beautiful. Then gets 3 the rest of the half, only 13 on the game, and you're sitting there and you're like, this is why we brought Derrick Henry in? No, this is why we brought Derrick Henry in because the past 2 games he's put up almost 400 total yards and 4 total touchdowns in just a dominant fashion.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable how I said this too on Locked On Ravens, and I tried to say it one way. I don't know if it came out the exact right way, so I'll try to better say it here.
Mm-hmm.
Where Lamar only threw for 156 passing yards tonight. Again, went 13 of 18. But he brings so much gravity that the Ravens, despite that, can win by 30 like they did tonight. And
Yeah.
so when you have a guy in Derrick Henry where the obvious game plan would, if he's dominating you like that, to be, okay, we just need to throw the book at Derrick Henry and not really care about anything else. You can't afford to do that with Lamar Jackson also on the field because his presence alone gives defenses fits. And so what you talked about, when you have both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson going at the same time, and when you have them dominating, and this is exactly what the Ravens needed to do. I mean, Buffalo, we talked about it, came into the league as a bottom third run defense. We talked about how they don't match up well with Baltimore, where they play a lot of lighter boxes, a lot of multiple DB packages. And I think the Vikings or the Vikings. So it's been a long night. The Bills were in nickel on that Derrick Henry run, the opening play of the game. They were in nickel against a loaded box. And again, when you have personnel like that, you can't match up with the physicality. Plus, when guys like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and Rashad Bateman and everybody's getting dirty and involved in the blocking game, I mean, what are you gonna do? So, big wake up call for Buffalo. Honestly, big wake up call for the Ravens in like a good way. It's like, hey, this team woke up. Like this team woke up.
This is one of those scary moments for the rest of the NFL where it's like, I want to use the Happy Gilmore quote where it's like, Happy learned how to putt. The Ravens learned how to hold on to a lead. Like if the Ravens just figure out, they're great at getting out to big leads. And we can talk about this for a few minutes. In the third quarter, it looked a little dicey. Like if it wasn't for that trick play that ends up being the strip sack, this game could have looked a lot different. I mean, Buffalo had momentum. They were looking to make it a one-possession game.
Just by the way, is one of these stupidest play calls you could ever call.
We are
in that situation.
Driving down the field with ease. Let's have our running back take the snap, run over to Josh Allen, and just pitch it to him like everyone knows is coming.
It was almost a fumble on the exchange.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel almost threw it to, I can't remember who it was. Might have been Matabike. But he almost threw it to Matabike, and Allen had to reach back for it. And then, I mean, when the film comes out, I'm curious to see if there was a player open because Allen wanted to throw it to someone. But Kyle Van Noy, the one eye, unless we gotta pay homage with the one eye.
One eye, baby.
2 sacks in 3 straight games. Fountain of youth, whatever you want to say, man. He unreal play. My favorite, and I said this on Locked On Ravens, my favorite play though, Zach, was the David Ojabo play where he cut off the running lane for James Cook, made Josh Allen take the ball, and then also defended Josh Allen on the same play. It's just unreal stuff.
It's crazy how these guys with uber talent that just can't stay on the field, that everyone's like, hey, they're really good if they can stay on the field. It's crazy how good they are when they stay on the field.
Yeah.
Like, it's never been a talent issue with Ojabo. Every time he's on the field, he gets a strip sack, it seems. Like, every time to start his career, it would be like, Ojabo finally on the field. Oh, strip sack. That's dope. Damn, he's out for the year. Like, if he stays on the field, though, we talk about how good this defense is. They're also adding Ngakoue to be a rotational guy. Like, this team can be very special defensively, and this is still Zach Orr's 4th game being a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, crazy. I'm actually crafting a banger tweet. It's too late in the night to drop it now, but it is an absolute banger of a tweet. I actually have to form the. I'm still in shock about that play call. I cannot believe the Bills called that.
It was just so stupid. It was to the point of I started laughing before it even started. Like I literally was watching the television. I see Josh Allen lined out wide. And I was like, what are they doing? Like, I was like, have they not been watching this game?
That is where the Bills lost the game.
That was up there. That legitimately was up there with like Greg Roman, James Prochet pass. Like all the momentum, and they're like, this is what we're cooking.
What were they cooking? What were they cooking?
What were they cooking? And real fast, Rod. Appreciate it. Tomorrow, we will be doing at some point a kind of Kevin and Zach react just about all of the.
It was a whirlwind of a day. For everybody.
Today was not going to happen. Today was not going to happen. I woke up. I was in the car at 8 a.m. to drive back from Columbus. Kevin, I got to the studio at 4:30. When I left this morning, Columbus, it said my ETA was 3:15, and I got there at 4:30.
That is, I know. I've made that drive before. It is just,
it's something. It's something. But we will tomorrow be. We're going to have a Orioles special. Talk about the entire season, what kind of happened. Maybe give some MVPs, some guys that shocked us the most, Rookie of the Year, stuff like that, and then just a quick look ahead to. We know the Royals. Kevin kind of didn't see that coming. I did not think the Royals were going to hang on for that.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit last night, where we talked about Reagans and Lugo is their 1-2, and hey, Adley versus Bobby Witt for the chance to go to the DS, man. It's kind of cinema, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But, although I do know a lot of people are, I don't know. I feel like people are happier to. I mean, obviously Scooble's insane, but they're happier to see Reagans and Lugo versus
we whooped Reagans earlier this year.
Yeah, all right, that was early in the season.
Early. That was.
Weren't they done with the Royals in like April?
Yeah, the first 3 weeks.
Yeah,
remember we had we had 2 super sweaty series with them.
Yeah.
Anything else from this game, Kevin? I feel like we kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm about to finish up here and go record my episode for 6 tomorrow.
Kevin,
hey, you know what? It's a fun grind, especially when the Ravens are doing things like this. So
that's true. That's very true. It's always a fun grind when stuff like that. But Ravens with a dominant win, getting it done. 35-10, just pure domination from all facets of the team. Great win for the boys to get back on track, back to 2-2 with an opportunity to go 3-2 against Cincinnati next week. We'll be back tomorrow to do the Kevin and Zach React Orioles season special with the postseason preview. But until then, we will catch you as that does it all for this edition of Kevin and Zach Reacts. Go Ravens. I mean, dude, after all the shit I heard from Buffalo this past week, this felt damn good. Damn good.
Yeah, man.
Damn good. As always,